Zidane Danny, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the latest volume, volume number 9 of My Hero Academia Vigilantes. Oh boy, this volume is sad. And when I say it is sad, that is not an understatement. As you can probably guess by the side having Shirakumo as well as the front having Shirakumo in the background while Aizawa is screaming, you can probably already figure out what exactly is going on. This volume is about Shirakumo's death. That is one of the major parts of this volume. Last volume, we got introduced to him, as well as getting some cool information. And as I've mentioned in my volume 26 of Normal My Hero Academia review, this volume really should be read before you actually read volume 26. Because, yeah, Shirakumo becomes Kurogiri. Yeah. I'm honestly still extremely surprised about this whole turn of events, but honestly, I really love this series and how much chaos they actually put into this. And honestly, I think that Vigilantes may have peaked with Volume 9. This volume is honestly setting up for the conclusion of Vigilantes. Yes, there are going to be multiple chapters after, or multiple volumes afterwards. We still have to see the battle between Koichi and Popstep. We still need to see Endeavor's rage. We still need to see the chaos that happens during the actual, with the past, with Knuckle Duster's past, and all of that jazz. And not to mention what is currently happening in the manga over in Japan with the chapters. And if you've been watching my chapter reviews, you know that I've kind of been a little bit less enjoying them as much. But I think the main reason for that is because of the fact that a lot of the recent Vigilantes is more either battles or prepping for battles. And that is a bit weird. Well, volumes like Volume 9, well, yes, they do have some honestly amazing battles, like the Battle of Aizawa facing off against the worst enemy that he will ever deal with. There are so many aspects of this volume that are really interesting, and it's not just the fights. This volume is about the drama. Like I said, Shirakumo's death, devastating effects to Aizawa as well as all of the others going down in the future. We get to understand more as to why Aizawa became a teacher. We get to understand more of what he has gone through over these past years before we ever get to see him in the main series. And that is insane to me. Obviously, we also get to see other characters, like I said, Yamada slash Mike, whatever you want to call him. But this is about Aizawa's story. The story that is devastating. 100% Shirakumo's story is heart-wrenching. Knowing all that has happened with Shirakumo and what comes later makes this story so impactful. And honestly, even though I say, like I said before, knowing that Shirakumo, even though this is my second reading of these chapters, and knowing that Shirakumo was going to die beforehand, it's still devastating. And while I do say avoid reading Normal My Hero Academia Volume 26 before reading 29, or I mean, reading number 9, I think either way it still would be impactful. It is heart-wrenching to know what has happened in both of these stories and to know how things continue going forward. It's heartbreaking. But at the same time, it gives me a little bit of hope for the future. Now that we know that Kurogiri is Shirakumo, we can kind of have a little bit of hope that maybe one day they're going to be able to free him from Kurogiri and bring him back to his senses, bring him maybe not back to life per se, but still better than we thought. There is one more thing that I want to mention about Shirakumo before I move on to the rest of the volume. And that is, I don't think he was ever dead. I think absolutely he was unconscious, but dead? No. I actually don't think he was dead. I think that Shirakumo did actually cheer him on. We all hear the... If you've only read the Vigilantes Volume 9 and haven't actually gotten caught up through Normal My Hero Academia, you may think, what do you mean by that? Well, something has honestly just felt odd. Now that we know that with the whole villains arc thing and all of that jazz, knowing that one of the lead doctors of the country works for the League of Villains, it actually makes me wonder if Shirakumo was ever dead, or if they faked his death in order to get someone as powerful as Kurogiri. The fact it remains that we all know that All For One wants powerful quirks, and the Cloud quirk, while it may seem unuseful at first, it actually could be possible that it's actually way more useful than we think. The exact possibilities are a little bit hard to say, but the fact remains that Kurogiri is the only Nomu that we know of that actually has a full, intact mind. He's the only one. Even the near high ends that we find out about in the latest volumes in the main series, they don't have complete cognitive abilities. We all know about the flaming guy who fought against Endeavor, and that we actually see in Vigilantes in the future. But these factors actually lead me to wonder what exactly is going on here. Something doesn't feel right. Now, obviously, I'm not going to get into all of that situation right now, because obviously I have a lot more to discuss and look into it before we actually go into that whole discussion. But it's definitely something to at least be thinking about. Now for the romantic chaos. Oh boy. After having the discussion with Aizawa, Koichi gets some interactions. First, seeing the boys who have started up their own business, both the cafe and the shop and all that jazz. He gets to see them one more time before we start to go into the more serious drama. The drama between Pop and him. Pop is starting to have her true feelings exposed to Koichi. Knowing that she loves him more than anything. Knowing that being a hero really means something to her. And fighting alongside of him is so heartwarming for her. There's been some honestly amazing moments that all of them have been able to have. And we get to actually see that this actually meant a lot to Koichi. While he does speak of retiring from doing hero work, you can tell from just reading the information about his interview with his new boss that he looks back fondly at everything that he's been through. He doesn't regret anything for an instant. He's made some of his best friends, and he's done so much for the community. He doesn't regret it, and I think that's an important step. Sometimes you just have to move on. I think that's an important message, actually. Especially to a lot of YouTubers nowadays. A lot of YouTubers, especially as they're getting older, start to wonder, what exactly should I be doing with my life? Should I end this YouTube career? Because it's all we've known. And I think the important thing to realize here is that YouTube, or any aspect of our lives, do eventually come to a close. But the fact remains that we shouldn't look back on these things negatively. Even though certain aspects of our lives are absolutely terrible, it's important to realize that these factors make us who we are. Devastating moments in our lives can leave a huge impact, but it makes us better people in the long run. I know I'm one to talk, but I honestly feel like what is going on between Pop and Koichi is some of the most important factors in anyone's life. Especially as we grow older. The fact remains that Pop is young. She is just getting out of high school, and Koichi is just getting out of college. But they have changed so much over these past few years. And they've grown as people, becoming closer and closer friends over these years. Koichi is a different person than he was all those years ago, and so is Pop. And even though they want to look back at these things with fondness and recapture these events, Pop specifically trying to re-find herself now that she's losing a lot of the things that have made her who she is, she is growing. Realizing what she has been through is an important factor. But she also has to grow past it and eventually move on to bigger and better things. It's a fact of life. She wanted to be a pop star for years and years, and that was her dream. But the fact remains that sometimes a dream only lasts so long. Sometimes a new dream starts. And we see that in Maku, whatever her name is, the other lady. Very important lady. And I'm forgetting her name, sadly. I am very sorry about that. Let me actually just quickly... Yeah. I am so sorry about that. But basically, Tsukuchi's sister, and I can't believe that I forgot her name. She needs to be more important, honestly. But the point remains that she is starting to realize that she needs to move on with her own life as well. And even though she is starting to think that Koichi might be the person for her, honestly, I think the important thing to realize here is that with her, it's more of a thought of, I'm getting too old. I need to find someone now. And while she is saying that she's going to put that decision on Koichi and Pop, I think it's important that she doesn't get that happy ending. That she doesn't get with Koichi, but instead that Koichi and Pop get together. These two have been through way more together, and while there is a connection there that may be hard to move past, in truth, they are the ones that are meant to be together. Makoto, I believe, I could be wrong, but I think that's her name, but she is just looking for someone to love her. And she knows that she is not oblivious. She knew that Koichi had a crush on her all those years ago, and she is taking a little bit of an advantage of that, but she is also making sure that even if Koichi does choose her, she's also making sure that at least he's realizing that Pop also has feelings for him. And that she can actually know that if he at least tried to understand what was going on and then chose, that is the important factor here. Yes, she is not the best person for putting this on him, but it is an interesting factor. And then there's Nomura. Oh boy. Frickin' number 6. Yep, he's back, taking advantage of the fact that Pop is devastated. Now that she knows that Makoto is interested in him, there's just... there's a lot of problems here. The fact remains that Makoto is a person that is really important to both of them. And the fact remains that Pop is devastated. And realizing that Nomura / number 6 is taking advantage of that. That is what we do not want to be. It is important that we realize that even when, if we notice that someone is devastated, we need to be there for them, but not to the extent where we are going to take advantage of their loneliness and try to make them feel good about themselves, but in actuality, we just want something from them. Yes, absolutely, number 6 is an awful villain, but I think that a lot of people can actually learn from him, from what he's done, to realize that that is not something that someone should do. I know that this is not an easy topic to discuss, but what he has done is awful. Turning Pop into a monster, honestly, it scares me a little bit. Even knowing what is going to be in Volume 10 doesn't make the anticipation to read it again any easier. And on top of that, in the chapters that are releasing, we're getting really close to the final battle between Koichi and number 6. And honestly, I'm really looking forward to seeing that final battle where Knuckle Duster and his daughter come in to help out Koichi to finally take down this villain, but to also do something to actually help Koichi to no longer be the crawler. That is something else that I want to bring up. In this chapter, or in this volume, Koichi specifically explains that this summer would be the last summer of the crawler. And I think that's an important factor to realize. Well, obviously we think, oh, he's retiring or whatever at this point. I think the important factor to realize here is that he's not. Obviously, there could be a factor of him dying or him retiring, but I think what's actually going to be happening is that the crawler is no longer going to be his name. Instead, he and Pop are finally going to be getting their hero licenses. After saving the day from number 6, they are going to have 3 heroes, maybe 4 heroes, stand up for them to say, these kids have done more for Hero Society than anyone has in the past. These kids, beyond anyone else, deserve to be marked as true heroes, to be the heroes of Narahata. And that is what I'm hoping to see in the future. Crawler to get his new name, and for Pop to also get a new name. For these two heroes to no longer be the Vigilantes of Narahata, but instead to be the true heroes of Narahata. The heroes who saved an entire town. All by themselves. And with them, to stand up with them, to finally say that these kids deserve to be true heroes, we will see Knuckle Duster standing up once again as O'Clock. Ingenium, and Aizawa, and of course, Captain Celebrity, all four of these heroes, one retired and three active, are going to stand up for these kids to say they deserve to stand with the rest of the heroes. Not as villains, not as vigilantes, but as true heroes. But anyways, guys, I know this video has covered a little bit of what's going on in the manga currently, but honestly I'm really excited to see what's going to be going on soon. And you guys should too. If you guys want to actually catch up, then I definitely do suggest going over to Viz. I am not sponsored by them, but they do have every single chapter is over there. And now that we're actually past these chaotic volumes, I actually think that now is actually a good time to start reading them, reading the chapters over on Viz and getting caught up. And another reminder is that you only really need to subscribe until you've read them all, and then you can read the latest 3 every single week. So there's that. So yeah, I know it sounds like I'm being sponsored, but like I said, again, I am not sponsored by them. I just use them all the time to read these. So yeah. Of course, like I said, hopefully you enjoyed these, and hopefully you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, or even if you're not new but you just haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and ring that notification bell. And of course, if you do want to support the channel even more, then definitely head down to the description, check out all of our links down there, including our other channels, our social medias, and ways you can support us financially, including our Patreon, our merch store, and our book. And of course, if you do have any thoughts or theories, please leave them down in the comments below. If you are going to leave a theory, make sure to say theory review somewhere in your comment, and I will see you guys next time. But on!